All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the HMG Weekly Wrap Up. It's kind of funny. I sat there and was giving my intro to my own show, The Decision Hour. Ah, it's been a week. It has been a week. How's everybody doing? And some of these other platforms don't want to get going. There we go. There we go. If you guys are out there, let me know you're out there. Say hello. This week is Easter weekend. Those of you on TikTok there, I'm going to bring you in just a little bit closer here. Weird lighting today. What do we got here? There we go. Instagram's up. Good morning. Facebook, hello. Wesley Young, what's up, brother? Yes, good morning. Good morning. Gabriel, what's up? Quite a few people over at TikTok there. Thank you guys for joining. Appreciate it. Good Friday to you all. It has been quite a week, to say the least, and today is no different. Today's going to be a little bit different. It's Easter weekend. Looking forward to the weekend. Wyatt Wood, good morning. How are you? Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. Easter weekend. What do you guys have planned? And I'm going to get into Easter weekend, whatnot, but we're just starting off the show. Let me get a couple more people on here. If you guys would do me a favor, share this. Let me know you guys are out there. Share this with everybody. And we're going to talk a little bit about Easter weekend, specifically today, Good Friday, what it represents to me, how I feel about it. Yeah. Gabe, I'm in the midst. Let me join live. Can't today, man. I got to figure out how to do that, but let's talk offline about that. Who else do we got here? If you're out there, say hello. Ryan Hunt, good morning, sir. Appreciate you jumping on. What do we got over here at TikTok? Man, quite a few. Thank you guys. TikTok land, you guys have been showing me love since we started on this platform. Very much appreciate you guys over at TikTok. So thank you very much. Did I buy my tie from Team? No, I did not. Amazon. I bought it from Amazon. And I got my Easter tie on today, it being Easter weekend. All right, we got quite a few people on here now, it looks like. And if you're just joining us, say hello. Let me know where you guys are at. Today is Good Friday. So let's talk about Good Friday and what it means. So let me back up here. I was conflicted on how I would put all of this together. So those of you that are Christ followers, this is Holy Week. This week is Holy Week. It's been Holy Week all week, and today is Good Friday. Today focuses on Christ's death at Calvary, the sacrifice for our sins. And most traditions, today is a day of mourning. And in that mourning, we find hope. And in the death, we find a love that's stronger than any other. Than any other. And for Christians that are out there, and I don't care if you do if you're a I don't care if you're a what religion you're in. Doesn't matter. What do we hear? Deadpool dad, are you a veteran? Yes, sir, we are a veteran. I am a veteran, Army veteran, and we have community heroes. So we've focused on law enforcement, firefighters. Please look up heroesmediagroup.com. You can check out all the stuff there. But great question. Thank you. Sandy Smith. Hello there. Now there's somebody I haven't seen or heard from in a while. You have a blessed Easter as well. I appreciate you jumping on. So this is good. What does this weekend mean to you guys? What does today specifically mean to you? We talk about Easter weekend and whatnot I want to get into Easter weekend and whatnot, but you can't start Easter weekend without Good Friday and what that means today. And again, a lot of some of you on here that that's been following me for years. If you don't believe in God, that's fine. This isn't for you. The other part of the show will be here in just a minute. But those of you that don't, I also challenge you, give it a shot. It works. It works for me. So a lot of this stuff, again, I tell you guys each week, don't take my word for it. Anything that I say, just I'm putting stuff out there. So I grew up going to church. In my early 20s, I kind of put my beliefs aside. I've always believed that Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins, for our sins. Um, but I always, at that age in my early 20s and whatnot, I kind of always did things my way, and it didn't always work out. Let's just put it that way. Ken, good morning, brother. Appreciate you jumping on. I realized going through my 20s and most of my early 30s that I needed a change. And again, it wasn't that I didn't believe in God because I did, but I wasn't practicing it. And this is, let me back up and say this. What I'm talking about today, those of you that don't believe, again, this part of it isn't for you. However, uh, I'm not a Bible thumper. I don't necessarily believe in organized religion, and that's probably not going to be a popular statement to a lot of people. I don't care. It's just me. I do believe in God, and I do believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins. You don't have to agree with me. That's fine. I respect those of you out there that don't agree with me. That being said, today is a day of mourning. At this, it's a day that Jesus Christ died, was crucified, buried, and he died on the cross for our sins. Um, so I want everybody to kind of think about that. Those of you that, you know, celebrate Easter, remember what this Easter weekend is really about. Today, Christ dies for our sins, and in 3 days, we're promised that he uh, rises. Um, it it's it's pray about it. And those that aren't believers, or maybe you're out there struggling, or maybe you have a family member uh that struggle, try praying. And here's the thing, a lot of people, I've had this happen to me over the years. People like, Adam, I know you believe in God, and it's not something, this is really the first time I'm coming out and saying as much as I am about it right now. And it's not that I'm not uncomfortable about it. I just, it's what I believe in, and I'm not pushing my belief on anybody by any means. You believe what you want to believe. I respect that. I'm telling you what works for Adam Bird. And um, organized religion isn't my thing. For me, when I pray, it goes for me and the person, the big guy upstairs, through Jesus Christ. I want to read something. It's not something I've really done before, especially on the weekly wrap up. But given that today is Good Friday, I'm gonna read a verse from you guys. So just bear with me for a second. John chapter 3, verse 16 and 17. And I think this verse really ties into what's going on in the world today. So as I read this, I want everybody to just take a moment in silence and think about this. Think about the words. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. And uh, I think if we think about what's going on in the world today and what's happening, and I think we need something to turn to, and I think, me personally, I find peace and hope through Jesus and believing in God. So with that being said, remember what this weekend is about. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And we're going to move on with the show now. So those of you that are believers, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you that are not believers that are potentially thinking about it or whatnot, you're not sure how to pray, just start talking to God. Just say, God, I need your help. That's how it starts. All right, let's move on because it has been a crazy week. And here's the other thing. We're talking Good Friday. Today's Good Friday. And it's been Holy Week all week. And you look at the things that are going on in the news this week. Uh let's first discuss the tragic event that happened at the uh Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. I've gone over that bridge hundreds of times. I've seen the footage. We've all seen the footage. If you haven't, you can look up bridge collapse in Baltimore. There is video evidence that shows so a bridge was and I found out this morning after reading more and more into it, there was a bridge. Baltimore Harbor is one of the biggest harbors in the United States. The fact that this bridge is down and it closes off that harbor is catastrophic. That's what it is. It is catastrophic to our um, well-being right now here in the US. Food, imports, exports, the whole 9 yards. Everything in and out of that harbor. That bridge collapsing is big. But here is what I want to share. So I'm going to put this picture up here as well. This is a picture of the bridge from Google Earth. The ship hit right here. And you see that when you watch the video, you see the ship kind of come around Fort Carroll and it beelines into right here into this pillar. And then that's where the bridge collapsed. I believe it's that pillar. That's what it looked like. Might be the other one. Nonetheless, what they don't show you on like a lot of the news channels or the social media channels is you don't see these poles that are in the water right here as well. You don't see that. And the way that that ship was traveling, um, it would have ended up this. And almost like he overcorrected with it. Now, here's this. I'm not saying there's a whole bunch of conspiracy theorists that are out like, oh, this is the terrorism attack. It's this, it's that, it's more control. It is. I'm not saying it isn't. All I'm saying is let's look at some of it. Ken, I'm going to get to your comment in a second. But it does look fishy. Andrew asked, "Do I believe it's a conspiracy?" I don't necessarily believe it's a conspiracy. Not saying it doesn't. Um, I don't necessarily think, do I think it was an accident? I'm not saying one way or the other. Here's what I'm saying. There's some conclusions that we can draw. Does it look fishy? 100%. 100%. On TikTok, Deadpool Dad says the president is making us pay our business for the accident. Yeah, I'll get into that here in just a second too. I've driven over that bridge hundreds of times. And the way that it was done, there's some questions that I have to ask. The way that it was done, the lights just flickered out. The Coast Guard said this morning that the ship, or I believe it was yesterday, I'm sorry, the ship was undergoing engine maintenance before it crashed into the bridge. Okay. Part of that was also said that in another statement by the Coast Guard, it was doing the undergoing engine maintenance, but not anybody in the harbor knew about it. So ban Argo chip shows. And if you've crossed that bridge, if you've been across the bridge, there's Fort Carroll that you can't really see in the background, and then as I'm on the screen, those of you that can see the screen, there's got these two electrical poles that are right there, and the ships travel in this main section at the peak of the bridge, or where the bridge was actually. That's where it goes. Now, here's the other thing. A lot of the times when you go to these harbors, what do you see on these big cargo ships as they're bringing them into ports? Where are the tugboats? Are there supposed to be tugboats that aren't there tugboats? This is just a question that I'm asking. I'm asking a question. And those of you that maybe you're captains of ships, and I know we got a couple out there that I've known. I've reached out to them and have not gotten contact back from them yet. Maybe they're on maybe they can't say anything. I don't know. But there's a lot of things that just don't sit right with me on this. I'm not saying that it's a terrorist attack. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it was an accident either, though. Here's the thing: that ship apparently had a bad track record. Last year, it failed the test on engines. There was, I believe, several years ago, it ran into another bridge or building in overseas and northern England somewhere. It was flagged under Singapore, but owned by a Danish company. Not that that necessarily means anything, but the fact that that port is now shut down is going to be very catastrophic to our well-being as a whole. That is one of the biggest ports, the busiest port up and down the East Coast. Too many questions that need to be answered. More importantly, there were people that were on that bridge that have perished. And our hearts go out to the families of those. And I didn't see the names or whatnot, but there's numbers float depending on which news organization you're looking at, anywhere from 10 to 20 vehicles were on the bridge at any given time when the cargo ship hit. So, yeah, eh, what happened in Baltimore this week is horrible. It's going to take years to rebuild that bridge. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the course of the next week as we start getting more and more answers. Again, look at this stuff up, draw your own conclusions to it. It just doesn't add up. Stuff that we're being told doesn't add up. And here's the other thing, I'm not saying anything. Then you weren't watching it from the beginning, big duh. What I'm saying, do I believe that was an accident? No, I don't. I don't necessarily believe it was an accident. It's too close to everything else that's happening and that what's going on right now. But don't take my word for it. Look at the puzzle, put the puzzle pieces together. Look at what some of the other news organizations are saying. And again, I've been over that bridge. There's when you look at the video, they're not showing you everything either. So that's why I haven't drawn a complete conclusion on it. But it doesn't look right. There was another conspiracy that was going around that the bridge was had um, uh, what am I trying to say? They blown the bridge in certain points. I've only seen probably two stories on that, but that was another conspiracy that was going around. I don't know. It's hard to say. It'll be interesting. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out more about that. Pay close attention because I guarantee you, you're going to see more and more things that come out here in the next 3 to 4 days. Next up, bird flu found in U.S. milk for the first time in Texas, Kansas, and New Mexico. Saw an interview with one of the ranchers down in Texas. Said some of the dairy cattle down there were tested. There was only a few. Good news is that if the cattle contract the bird flu, it only affects that cow for about 10 days, and then they can move forward. Okay. I think it's weird though that that's happening now because it just happened recently in what was it, a couple weeks ago. There's more bird flu found in, like, some chicken and some of the stores, and there's a big recall on that too. So it goes back to there's more things that are being we need to pay more attention to our food sovereignty. Here's an organization I want you guys to look up. Look up From the Farm. If you look up From the Farm, they put you in touch with local ranchers. Now, some of you are going to be like, oh, well, they're collecting a list of ranchers and farmers that they give to the government. The government has those lists already. The government has those lists of farmers and ranchers already. We don't. So this organization, From the Farm, they put you in touch with your local farmer and rancher. Because I can tell you this, I do not want to eat fake meat. Something that was made on a 3D printer, and it's already being sold. It's already being sold. So I buy my meat now from a local rancher. I encourage everybody, if you can, to do the same. Check it out. It's fromthefarm.com, I believe it is. Christina, good morning. How are you? Thank you. What do we got here? Big Duh. So I'm goofy. I guess I'm goofy, Big Duh. With a name like Big Duh, says it all. I love it. Thanks for joining. Moving on. The last one that I had on here this week, another big news this week was the homes of Sean Diddy Combs searched by federal officials. Apparently, there's 3 women and a man have been interviewed by federal officials. In Manhattan in relation to allegations of sexual assault, sex trafficking, solicitation and distribution of illegal narcotics and firearms, and a slew of other things. Are we surprised that this is happening? Are we starting? Is this a new thing? We're going to start seeing more and more people like this come out. Here's the thing that got me about this. Like, the whole thing with Diddy was, at the beginning of the week, he flew somewhere. I heard that now that he's back. If you've seen interviews with like 50 Cent or like Cat Williams, they both have reached. I mean, 50 Cent's been saying it for a long time. There's other people that have come out against Diddy in the past that have said, hey, this guy's doing some crazy stuff. He's got these elaborate parties that things happen allegedly. I'm not saying that they are, because I certainly wasn't there, so I don't know. But these people have warned us that this stuff is going on. So I'm wondering if this is finally starting to come out and come to fruition. We'll see. I don't know. That's a lot. Those three things right there that's a lot for one week. It's Holy Week. Unfortunately gets worse. Kamala Harris announces new office to implement red flag gun control laws. The White House has announced a new office to support states implementing red flag laws to combat gun violence in an initiative funded by the Justice Department. The launch of the Federal Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center, or EPRO, follows Joe Biden's establishment of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, they erected in September, which the president has asked Kamala Harris to head up. It's operated through the John Hopkins Center of Gun Violence Solutions and paid for by the Justice Department's grant. EBRO is designed to help state and local government, law enforcement, and others, it just says others, including behavioral health and social service providers, optimize the use of red flag laws. What are your guys' thoughts on red flag laws? What are your thoughts on red flag laws? David Williams, good morning, brother. How are you, Mr. Willis? David. Red flag laws. What are your thoughts on red flag laws? This is disturbing in a sense that well, in a lot of different ways, but it says others. It just says others. And it says including behavioral health and social service providers optimize the use of red flag laws. Here's the thing that gets me about they're bringing out these red flag laws more this week. And they've red flag laws have been around in different states over the last several years. We've seen more and more of it. Can I believe it's unconstitutional as well? But recently they've talked about illegals can purchase and carry firearms here in the United States. That was within the last 2 weeks. I've talked about that. Again, don't take my word for it. Look this stuff up. Everything that I've talked about this morning, the red flag laws, the bridge, Diddy, the milk stuff, look this stuff up. The stuff that I'm reading about the red flag laws right now, this is almost verbatim on several of the organizations, the NPR, the Post. Several of them have kind of tiered towards what they're saying here. Let me see here. What do we have? Yeah, we do. We have a constitutional right to bear arms. It's what are we going to do? Red flag laws. I think it's funny that if somebody thinks you can't have a firearm, they could easily go up and say, "Hey, this person should not have a firearm." And that gives local government, law enforcement, and others, including behavioral health and social service providers, can optimize and use that law against you. Fair? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? I don't believe that this is I don't know. I've seen this happen to a friend of mine, probably I think it was about 2 years ago. And he fought it, but it took him a couple of years to fight it and get his firearms back. Because it came out that when they did the investigation, it came up nothing. They came up with nothing. But it's going through that whole process and everything. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see uh if you start seeing more red flag laws in the news. I don't know. It's interesting. But it's again, a lot of us, a lot of the Second Amendment people that are out there, we have a right to bear arms. Everybody does, right? Last week I mentioned, or 2 weeks ago, sorry, I mentioned about the bill that they're trying to pass for illegal immigrants carrying firearms. Joey G. It's for. I love some of the comments on the TikTok stuff. Appreciate you guys jumping on though. All right, next up, let's do Road to the Final Four. All right, Road to Final Four. March Madness is in full swing. Last week, I got to go to Pittsburgh for round two. Saw the North Carolina State game, win into overtime. Great game. And then the Creighton game, which was the late game. Another great game, but went into double overtime. And now, last night was another round. Alabama. Here's what shocked me about this. If you're NCAA men's basketball fan, your bracket's probably messed up. If it wasn't messed up before, I'm willing to bet it's messed up after last night. Number 4, Alabama sneaks past number 1, North Carolina. Shocked. I'm shocked. North Carolina, I had them going to the Final Four. Clemson upset. Number 6, Clemson upsets number 2, Arizona. Shocked. Had Arizona going because they had a decent season. This is what I love about the March Madness. You just don't know. UConn moves on. Illinois moves on. Had both of them. Did not surprise. Tonight, you got Creighton versus Tennessee. NC State and Marquette, Gonzaga and Purdue, and Duke versus Houston. That's going to be, I think that's going to be a barn burner of a game. The Duke versus Houston. I think that's going to be close. The Creighton and Tennessee game. I would like to see Creighton go. I think it's the smaller school out of everybody that's left. We'll see what happens. And then we will see you next week in Phoenix, Arizona, as we will be down there for doing some coverage for the Final Four. And then we'll be there for the championship game the following Monday, April 8th. So we're looking forward to getting back down to Arizona to cover the NCAA Final Four this year. All right, let's get into some of the shows. Oh, let me get some of the comments here. Whoa, wow. I love the comments. I love the interaction this morning. Instagram, right? Facebook, what do we have here? It's not fair. Patty Catter, good morning. Happy Easter to you. Happy Easter weekend. They want to start a movement, grassroots movement, lobby against bills like this. Here's the thing with the bills, and TikTok. Joey G, what do you think regulated means, little buddy? Me, little buddy. That's cute. I think there's a comment on Facebook here. Lobby against bills like this. Here's the thing. I think America has the most bills or the most laws out of anybody. And I'm going to say this, given the fact that it is Holy Week, with all of the laws that we have on the books in the United States, if you followed the 10 original laws, you would not break a single one of the millions that are on the books. Food for thought. All right, Ken, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm coming in April 3rd, next Wednesday. I'm here. I'm down there until April 10th. I leave early on the 10th. So Sunday, Tuesday, Friday of next week. Take it. You ought to call in sick next Friday and come on down and do the show with me. That's what you should do. Think about it. But back what I was saying, if you follow the 10 original laws, then you won't break any of the laws, the millions of laws that are on the books in the United States. What are the 10 original laws? The 10 Commandments. Let's get into the shows. First up in the queue, we got the decision hours with yours truly. This week, from bedded soldier to leadership consultant, I speak with our good friend and fellow HMG family member, Jerry Dugan. Jerry is an Army veteran. He opened up about a betting pool on survival became the fuel for his determination to succeed in basic training. They had a pool betting against him. Everybody. It was a crazy story. Talks about his transformation from a soldier to public speaker, author, and CEO of BTR Impact. Jerry's story is not just about overcoming the odds. It's about taking charge of life and creating a path worth walking. which he captures in a book that he wrote called Beyond the Rut. For anyone facing tough decisions or seeking motivation, this episode is going to be a must listen to. Go check it out. That's this week's Decision Hour. Next up, we got, what do we got next? Every Man's Odyssey. Host Cole shares his personal journey, starting from an early childhood in a small town in Northern California. Discusses his experiences with fear, religion, and relationship. Shares a story about joining the military. Talks about his decision of, or challenges, excuse me, of his time in service. The training that he gets, the importance of loving and trusting people while in the military, and the value of building relationships and understanding different perspectives. He talks about the difficulties being away from loved ones, overcoming physical challenges in training, and the struggle with a medical limitations. He shares a very emotional toll on not deploying and finally making the decision of leaving the Army and trying to find purpose in life. Incredible story. Every Man's Odyssey. You can check that out. Those of you in TikTok and whatnot, you go check out all the shows. Simply go to heroesmediagroup.com. You can find all the shows there and check these out. Next up, we got the Shay Sparks Show. This week, what does love and peace have in common? Is your true identity walking in peace? This week, how one woman's calling led her to become a real ambassador of peace. This week's episode, Eddie Darling is the guest. She talks about how she felt a calling to become a police officer, and then her journey led her to become an ambassador for peace. Eddie Darling is a retired law enforcement sergeant and former senior chaplain in the Department of Detention and Corrections Bureau. She's an author, a spiritual leader, motivational speaker, and a true humanitarian. Most importantly, she's an ambassador of peace. Great episode this week. Check it out. It is the Shay Sparks Show. David, thanks for putting that on there, brother. Appreciate it. Actually, you're next, so stand by. Next up, Homefront Sit Rep Podcast. David is on here. He just posted a link for us. Appreciate it. This week, he talks with Kentucky Wounded Heroes, which is a nonprofit 501c3 that exists to serve Kentucky's current and former members of the United States Armed Forces, sworn law enforcement, sworn firefighters, and sworn or affirmed EMS personnel. So community heroes, as we like to call them, right? That have been this organization serves these heroes that have been injured during combat operations or in the line of duty service. Pretty cool episode this week. Also, if you didn't check it out, if you go to Homefront Sit Rep Podcast on Facebook, you'll also see last night we did our monthly, and I wasn't able to do it last night, but they do a monthly show once a month. A bunch of podcasters get together for a show called Tip of the Spear. That's all I'm going to share with you right now because I want you to go check it out. So go check it out as well. And David, that's a great reminder. Homefront Sit Rep Podcast is live on Sunday and Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate you for putting that up. Thank you. And again, those of you that are just joining, go check out all the shows at heroesmediagroup.com. All right, next up we have, what do we have next? The Joel Evans Show. This week, Robert Johnson, the CEO and founder of MicroBoost, a functional mushroom brand, and the CEO of Custom Capsule Consultants. They discuss what sets MicroBoost apart from other functional mushroom brands, focusing on the use of fruiting the body of the mushroom instead of the mycelium. I can't say that word. Anyway, check this out. This is a great episode, the Joel Evans Show. Microdosing and mushrooms have been a big popular thing. It's becoming more and more popular, I think, over the last 3 years now. But so this is a great episode, Joel Evans Show. Check it out. Next up, we got Feed the People by the People. This week, Austin Freerick, author of the book Barons, Money, Power, Corruption in America's Food Industry. They take an up-close look at the practices that have crowned Barons in an industry and examine just how corrupt is America's food industry. That is a great question. How corrupt is America's food industry? I don't know. How corrupt is the American food industry? We've been talking about it for the latter part of about 6 months. Look at this. Check it out. Feed the People by the People. Next up, we have the John Mayo podcast. This week, Jeffrey Montgomery, a 10-year veteran of the United States Army, having served in the field artillery as a soldier and an officer. This week, they discussed the profound lessons he's learned on identity, responsibility, and growth. Again, this is the John Mayo podcast. In this episode, you're going to learn the dynamics of identity, embracing radical responsibility, and strategies for successful transitions. John Mayo podcast, check it out. Love it. Next up, we got the Hero Academy with host Super Dave. This week, the journey of retirement often comes with unexpected twists and turns. At least that's what this week's guest, Johnny Lee Redrick, says. Former law enforcement leader Johnny faced the daunting challenge of transitioning from a career defined by service and duty to charting a new path of self-discovery and wellness. Her battle with illness served a wake-up call, reminding her that life's challenges extend far beyond the uniform. Check it out, the Hero Academy. Next up, we got Beyond the Rut. This week, Brett's realization of living without intentionality and alignment with his Christian values prompted a transformative journey leading to inception of Iron Deep. An in-candid conversation with Brett Snodgrass, the founder of Iron Deep Ministry, talks about his journey from conventional entrepreneur to a purpose-driven leader that unfolds. Great episode this week with our friend Jerry Dugan, who I had on my show. His podcast called Beyond the Rut. Go check it out. All right, I see more comments coming in on the platform. I'll get to the comments here in just a minute. Let me get through these here. Label Free podcast. This week, Matthew Sanji, a business coach and strategy consultant. Matthew shares his inspiring story of overcoming trauma and adversity to build a successful coaching business, Prime Consulting. Matthew recounts a life-changing event where he was involved in a car accident with 2 horses, resulting in physical and mental health challenges such as PTSD, chronic pain, and depression. Despite these struggles, he made a mindset shift that led him to take control of his life and health. That's this week's Label Free podcast. Deanna does a couple of shows each week, Label Free podcasts. And it comes out twice a week, I believe, right now. Usually 3 times a week, but check it out, Label Free podcast. Couple more shows. Stay with me, folks, and I'll get to the comments here. Next up, we got the Other Side of the Firewall. This week, they do today weekly rundown. Ryan and Shannon discuss various topics, including TV series, movies, video games, and their plans for spring break. Spring break is this late? I thought spring break was over with. They talk about their thoughts on TV series, Extended Family. Never seen it. And their experience with the shows like 2.5 Men and Scrubs. In this conversation, Ryan and Shannon discussed their experiences with roller skating, retirement, and adjusting to civilian life. This show, they put out an episode every single day, Monday through Friday. It's a very IT-driven type show. That's why they call it The Other Side of the Firewall. I've learned a lot from this show. I strongly encourage you guys to check it out. Other Side of the Firewall. Check it out. All right, another show that puts out a bunch of it content each week. The Misfit Nation podcast. This week, John Lawyer, U.S. Army veteran turned spiritual guide. Host Rich and RJ are welcomed by John this week, whose life story unfolds from the dusty combat zones of the desert to a deeply personal and spiritual battleground. This one was eye-opening. I love this episode. This is a great show. They put out several shows a week. Check it out. All right, couple more left, guys. Because Bikers Matter podcast. This week, Jeff Najjar, co-producer of Flying Pistons Benefit Breakfast. Jeff shares his background growing up in Speedway, Indiana, and his love for motorcycles, including his first bikes and the current ones that he rides. He also discusses his involvement in bike shows and his current work in the cannabis technology industry. That's an interesting one. You want to check this one out, Because Bikers Matter podcast. Next up, this next one, pay attention. I absolutely love this episode this week. The MSEC podcast, Military Child Education Coalition. I've said it. I say it every week. If you're a veteran, if you're active duty, guard, or reserve, and you have children that are in the house going to school of high school age or elementary age, what have you, you should follow this organization. This week, they dive into the latest episode with Andrea Motley Crabtree. She shares her groundbreaking journey from joining the Army in 1977 to become the first Black female deep sea diver across all U.S. military branches and the U.S. Army's first female deep sea diver. Conquering intense training, her story of pure perseverance and the power to support will inspire you. This was a really awesome episode, and I encourage everybody to check it out. It's such a great story. MSEC podcast, check it out. Arms Room Show. They do a show every week. Every Monday, new episode comes out at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. This is the OG show of Heroes Media Group. They've been here before day one. They were the first show that came over from the other platform that we had. Glenn, if you watch this, still looking for a replacement for you 10, 11 years later. If you're looking to do any type of firearms training or any type of dirt medicine, or we call it dirt medicine, and it's not even giving it the proper stuff that it's due. They're in 20 plus states. They travel all over the country training people, and you can actually the parent company is Independence Training. If you go to independencetraining.com, their April classes in Arizona are up right now. You can sign up for them. They have some just outstanding classes. And like I said, whether it's for firearms or any type of medical training, and it's like high-end medical training type stuff that they do. I absolutely love their stuff. Every Monday, check out their show, The Arms Room Show. Next up, we got Chasing Happiness. Just a few more left here. In this episode called The Miracle Question, Transforming Lives with Neurodiversity, Dr. Matt shares his innovative approaches to supporting individuals with autism, ADHD, and dyslexia. He emphasizes adapting strategies to fit neurodegenerate needs, fostering personal growth, and success. His methods are not just about coping, but about thriving in a world not built for those types of minds. So this is very interesting episode. It's called Chasing Happiness. Check it out. Last, certainly not least, this week, we have the People's Patriot Project. They do a couple of episodes each week as well. This is a nonprofit organization. They're doing a lot of stuff. They got WeP3 Radio. The one I'm talking about right now is their Sunday night show that they do. We Got Your Six at 6. Every Sunday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. They do a roundtable event. I absolutely love it. It's a great show. The People's Patriot Project. Shout out to all of our sponsors. Jim Neary's Bait and Tackle. If you're down in Pennsylvania, go check them out. Jim Neary's Bait and Tackle. The shop is open this weekend. Fishing doesn't start until Monday, though, April 1. Warriors on the Water LTD. They got some fishing event for veterans and first responders coming up. Make sure you check that out. The Freedom People.org. Go check them out. Get a trust, family trust done. Forget Genetics. If you're an outdoorsman, you like to hunt fish, go check them out. Use promo code HMG. They're going to give you 10% off. Motorcycle Safety Lawyers. I say it every week. If you ride motorcycles, you have to have these guys on your speed dial. Go check them out. JB Auto Clothiers. Thank you for the hookup with this nice jacket this week. JB Auto Clothiers, veteran owned, custom made to measure suits for anyone, men, women. We handle them all. Go check them out, jbautoclothiers.com. Hit them up on Facebook. Send them a message. My Tax Fella, it's tax season. Get your tax. If you haven't done your taxes or you're stressing out about the numbers and stuff, go to mytaxfella.com. Check them out. Let them help you out. Let the pros handle it. What else? Got a Whole Brewing. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys over in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. The Freedom People. I mentioned that. Home Studio. Sisu Stamina. Can't forget them. With the Universal Learning Approach. I love their stuff. I don't have their stuff in front of me right now. Dang it. But Sisu Stamina, I love their stuff. The chewable tablet, I take it around 1 o'clock during the day, and it helps me get through the rest of the afternoon. You can go to Universal Learning Approach or ULAuniverse.com and use Heroes 10, and they're going to give you 10% off there as well. Last but not least, go check out HMG Beverage, our sister company. We got new coffee coming out. We got 2 new decafs, and we're working on 2 more that we're going to launch later this summer. But right now we have Kickstart and our Brazilian Cerrado, and then we have our Patrol as well. So you can get all and First Dew. Sorry. So we have those that are out. You can go check them out. Go to hmgcoffee.com or go to hmgbeverage.com. Order your coffee today. That's it. That's all the time I have today. Let me go to some of these comments here. What do we have here? Should frogs be allowed on public transport? Why not? Why not? What type of, well, George W. Bush asking me a question. Should frogs be allowed on public transport? My question would be, what type of frog? What type of frog? Interesting question over there on the talk. Let me see here. What else do we have here? Drinking Kickstart now. Ken, how do you like the Kickstart? David, have a great day. Appreciate you. Again, check this out and listen. Hey, here's a fun fact about our sister company, HMG Beverage. You don't see me posting it much